I was listening to the story about, it was a story of a family in Washington, and the little boy called the Bigfoot the Cowboy Man. And he had, apparently it had made an effort to steal this kid. And it hit me. My children were in that playpen behind me with nothing but a mosquito net over them. It could have crept up behind me and taken both of my children, and I wouldn't have known.
Father just got like a Mustang or something from Wyoming, okay? He had it out in the corral because he couldn't put it in the barn in the stalls with the other horses because it would kick and made all the other horses nervous. Had a Seminole Indian working the horse trying to break it every day. So they had it out in the corral. This skunk ape snuck up behind this horse and grabbed it on its hind quarters. This particular horse kicks out, jumps over the corral, runs into the pasture, to get away. At this point, the rancher's out there just blasted away with the dirty. Skunk ape runs into the swamp.
I went up there one day after that, or 2 days after that. I went up there and sat in the silence up there, and I'm telling you, man, it was free. It was crazy. There was a crazy vibe up there still. I did what I could to kind of get things under control, but I told her, I said, you need to get off this property. I feel like no matter how strong you are, it's almost like standing in the ocean. You can't stand still without moving your feet. You're going to get knocked over eventually, no matter how strong, whatever. You can't withstand a barrage of weird spiritual energy.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Paranormal Odyssey. Y'all caught me with the mute on, but I caught it first. That's what's important. I am Wayne, your host, joined, as always, by the lovely and talented, my partner in crime, Miss Tiffany. What's up, ma'am?
Not too much.
I was going to say madam, but then I changed it to ma'am. I don't know if madam, is that appropriate?
I mean, I think it's fine. Everybody knows I'm not a woman of the night. So.
Yeah, I've been watching House of Cards on Netflix, and if y'all are familiar with that show, the woman ends up becoming president, and it's Madam President, and she makes the comment, "I hate being called Madam President because it makes me think I'm a lady of the night or something like that." So I don't know. I never knew if that was offensive or not.
I don't find it offensive.
If you're calling the female president that, it shouldn't be.
Yeah, I've never found it offensive. I guess it just depends on the female.
Guys, you never know what you're going to hear.
You don't. I mean, we can go from talking about prostitutes to menopause to mustaches, the whole gamut.
And if you hear a dog barking,
oh my God,
that is coming from Tiffany's house. Poor Hunter, we have discovered he is going through dementia. It's just sad if that is the case. Poor Hunter.
Yeah, he just turned 11, July 5th, and he has been extra barky today, starting before 6th. So he's currently outside barking, but I can still hear him.
He's a good boy, though. He's been cool all this time you've been doing this with me here on Paranormal Odyssey. We've never heard him until recently, so he's a good boy.
He's a good boy. We've had him since he was 3 months old. So him and Carrie's grown up together because she's almost 15. He was 3 months old and she was 3 years old.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Although she really wanted to wring his neck this morning at 5:50. She's like, shut up.
She's gonna be heartbroken when the time comes.
Oh my God, I know. I'm just trying to prepare. You can't really prepare, but I'm trying to prepare.
We haven't done this in a while, so let's say hello to the guys out there. Mr. Scott Trent, what's up, buddy? Alex, how you doing, friend? Mike, what's up, bud? Talked to Mike just yesterday. Joe Pat, nice to have you. Our boy Ristel. Troy, how's Mooch doing? I'm sure there's somebody else in here that I missed, and if so, I apologize. There will be more filtering in. You said Mr. Mr. Tiffany got called out last minute, right, on a call.
He sure did. He just got a call. Mr. Kevin Bode just came in.
Kevin, what's up, buddy? Nice to have ya.
Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
let's pay some bills. Yomp to.
Yomp to? I guess we better.
Everybody, if you are new to the program, we are so happy to have you. Please, before you leave, hit that subscribe button. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your mom and them to run over to Paranormal Odyssey and hit that subscribe button. Help Tiffany and myself continue to grow this show. Please hit that subscribe button.
And tell your mom and them that they need to reach out to me and Wayne if they want to be on the show. Wayne at paranormalworldproductions.com or me, Tiffany at paranormalworldproductions.com. We would love to have them. We are booking for August. So send us the emails.
I want to invite everyone to head over to paranormalworldproductions.com. That is our website. Check out all the other shows over there. Make sure you sign up for the newsletter that Brian does. And I believe, Miss Tiffany, you've got one coming up pretty soon, right?
I sure do. This coming Sunday. Be
Yep.
on the lookout. If you haven't signed up for the newsletter, you better go do it so you can read my article.
Guys, she sent it to me, and it's a good one. She managed to tie in a little bit of Paranormal Odyssey and Bigfoot. So she did a really good job. So hope you guys will go over there and sign up. But you can't do that unless you go to paranormalworldproductions.com.
And as always, if you have a question for our guest, please put it in all capital letters. We'll grab all the questions during the show and ask them at the end in a rapid fire answer. I always struggle. Why do I always struggle with my brain's like, nope. A rapid fire question answer. There we go. Okay.
You always struggle, don't you, Tiffany?
Honey, I have just hopped on the Hot Mess Express this week and it's only Tuesday. But if you put your questions in all capital letters, we'll be sure that they get asked.
Yep. Last 10 minutes or so of the show, we will get to y'all. All right. Lastly, well, not quite lastly, want to mention the members only. It's still out there, $1.99 a month. You guys have slowed down since we closed out the giveaway. That sucks. I guess you only sign up and on the off chance you might win something. So we might put together another giveaway here soon. But yeah, the option is there. We would greatly appreciate it if you would sign up to become a member. Our guest backstage is a member. So is several of the people that we said hello to at the beginning of the show. Like I said, it's just $1.99 a month. You get extra content. There's free members only shows. You have a free Discord, the giveaways, movie nights, just cool stuff. And you get to tell people you're a PO freak. And Mr. Alex, best $1.99 ever. Thank you, buddy.
And Miss Chris agrees.
Chris Blaylock is also a member. Thank you so very much, man. She's been really active since she joined.
I know. I love her.
Yeah,
we've had taco talks.
Taco talks.
Yes.
Wow.
Because I was so excited that I fit into my turquoise jeans again. And then Zach's like, hey, you want to go get Mexican? And I'm like, yes.
What are turquoise jeans? Like green jeans?
Well, turquoise is closer to blue. It's like bluish green, but more blue than green.
Okay. Why do you keep freezing?
Because.
All right, see, you're froze right now in that. That lip was priceless. There, again, half clap. There you go.
I don't know. My internet hates me or StreamYard hates me. We have the bomb internet, so I don't know why.
We were telling Matthew before we came on, you have 2 internet providers. This should not be happening.
No. Like every few minutes it'll go like your internet sucks and then it's tolerable and then it's fine.
But the good thing is your audio is not freezing. It's just the video. So when we upload it to podcast, they won't even know.
No. So you guys keep that in mind. If you want a funny picture of me, stay tuned because I make some wacky faces and they always get caught.
They always freeze in the weirdest facial expressions.
They do. I've tried to be like very coherent what face I'm making. It might be there for a minute.
That's very true. All right. We have like I said, we have a friend of the show backstage. He is a member. He's a PO freak himself. He is active on the Discord. Got to hang out with him on a live chat the other night. That's what you guys are missing if you're not members. Mr. Chris Blaylock, I haven't seen you on one of the live chats. We'd love to have you hang out with us, man. Yeah, it's just a video chat where we all hang out. There's a jukebox playing in the background. You can choose what song you want to play in the background while we're all talking and hanging out. You can do it from your computer, your phone. It's fun. It really is fun. And Matthew has done that a few times. Matthew has been looking into the subject of Bigfoot here recently and has come across some weird stuff. And we brought him on to talk about it. Before we do, though, let's get to the poll questions real quick, and then I'll get Matthew out. Poll question tonight is, do you think Bigfoot is attracted to cars and other automobiles? Overwhelmingly, 80% of you say no, and 20% of you say yes. I am in the 20%. I would be in that 20%. I think there's something to the roadside crossings. There's got to be something. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we bring Matthew out. So we'll just go ahead and bring him out now if you're ready, ma'am.
Yeah, absolutely.
Matthew, what's up, buddy?
Hello, y'all.
Hello, y'all. I like that. I like the entrance. Hello, y'all. You just smooth operator.
How you doing, bud?
I'm good. How are y'all doing?
Not bad. I'm trying to get you over here, and there you go. Everybody can see your smiling face.
That's right.
All right. Yeah, I even warned Matthew, told him what the first question was going to be, but I'm going to step outside of that, and I'm going to ask you a different question. I'm going to ask you what you think about the poll question. Do you think Bigfoot is attracted to cars and other automobiles? Now, I'll tell everybody before Matthew answers, whenever we have a guest on, we try to line up the poll question to that guest. And Matthew has this area that he goes into where he has to park along the interstate and walk into. And I can't tell you the long haul truckers I've heard talk about seeing Bigfoot and all these roadside crossings. I don't think it's a coincidence. So, Matthew, what do you think about that?
Well, I'm not sure I'd say attracted. I think there's going to be times when, you come across animals or whatever in the woods or when you're driving down the road. But I think these things are a little more intelligent than that. So sometimes I think it may not be an accident.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I think they're too intelligent. They're too intelligent. They have managed to stay hidden from us from all this time, and then they all of a sudden go stupid when there's a car coming. Why do they freeze? And then they wait until almost no time left, and then they run across the road, giving you that chance to see them. They're too smart for that. I feel like it's on purpose.
I think they're too more intelligent than that too. I think it happens. For whatever reason, I think it happens. Possibly sometimes intentionally.
Yeah. Maybe not attracted. Might not have been the best word, but interested. Maybe they're interested in automobiles. I think. But let's ask you that other question. How did you get your start in this subject? How long have you been interested in it, and what happened to lead you down this rabbit hole?
So, I believe it was probably 2022. I was basically where I work. I can have an ear pod in all day, and usually I listen to music constantly all day. Sometimes I take a break, of course, but most of the time I'll have an ear pod in my ear, listen to music, and I basically got tired of listening to music. So I opened up my podcast app on my phone, and one of the first podcasts that came up was Theories of the Third Kind. You may have heard of it. And they basically delve into conspiracy theories. And I used to be a big conspiracy theorist and like to entertain myself with those kind of things and figure it all out. And well, they had touched base on, well, they make light of the subject as well. They make it fun. They don't make it so serious. And I think that's why I kind of liked it, because honestly, when it comes to conspiracy theories, what am I going to do about it? In the end, what am I actually going to do to affect anything about those kinds of things? So they made it fun, and that's when it kind of intrigued me. But one of the things that they did was they touched base on Bigfoot jokingly sometimes. And I can't remember if it was a guest that they had on or if it was just them talking about it. But somehow I ended up going to Sasquatch Chronicles and Wes Germer. So I started listening to that. And I probably listened to that every day, all day long at work, 5 days a week, for about 9 to 10 months.
Yeah.
And it was just intriguing to me, And so I listened to that, and I was like, man, I can understand 100 people lying about something. I can understand. Okay, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Let's just say 1,000 people are lying about something. But when you get tens of thousands of people talking about something and their experiences, and when they would mention it, and you could tell that they were affected in many ways, not just emotionally, but it affected them. Yeah. And you could hear that in their talks. And so about 9 or 10 months of that, and I just got to the point to where I was like, you know what? I looked on Facebook, and I joined a Facebook group, which was Bigfoot Believers and Other Creatures. And I mainly picked that. It probably just popped up because there's so many members in it.
Yeah.
I mainly picked it because it was in Tennessee. I know it was local to Tennessee where I'm at, and I'm in Murfreesboro. So I picked that and joined that group, and I started looking at posts and things like that. Well, I just reached out one day after about 10 months of listening to the podcast. I reached out and I said, hey, does anybody have any land that they would allow me to go on to that I could possibly have the opportunity of seeing something, like the signs of what they do with trees or anything? And one guy responded, well, I said, I don't own a firearm, which I don't. And I said, I wouldn't be taking any. And that's what I said. And one guy reached out and he said, there's a place in Columbia, which is actually, that's where my dad lives. It's TVA owned land. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember how many acres it is. It's 12, 20,000. I can't remember. And then another guy reached out. His name was Billy. And he basically said, hey, I'm going into the woods on Saturday. Would you like to go? And so I responded and said, yeah, I'd like to go. And so he said, well, we messaged back and forth a little bit on the Facebook group. And he said, let's make this more private. I said, okay. So we messaged each other on Messenger. And he said, I just don't want anybody to know where this property is, this and that. I said, okay. So we set up a time to meet. And I wanted to get off work. I work from like Tuesday to Saturday, and I wanted to get off work early Saturday. So I worked straight through my lunches that week so I could get off early on Saturday. I was excited about meeting Billy and having the opportunity to see whatever. I basically didn't know. I was just seeking for truth. Really, I wanted to know the answer to something that intrigued me. So I went to Billy's house. And when I got there, I went in, we introduced ourselves, and he started bringing out his guns. So he brought out, I guess, 2 45s and two 12-gauge shotguns. So he gave me a 45, He gave me a shotgun to use. And I mean, I'm familiar with guns. I've shot them, but I'm not totally comfortable with them, meaning I don't own one. You know what I mean? I don't shoot it all the time. I don't have one to shoot all the time. I'm just not totally comfortable with them. But I'm not scared of them. You know what I mean? But so he gave me these guns, and we sit there, and he looks at me. He goes, Matthew, one of the things that I ask that when we're out there, he said, all I ask of you is just to listen to me when we're out there. Just listen to me, and you'll be good. He said, and he looked at me, and he said, these things will kill you, and they will eat you. And I was like, it kind of, honestly, it went in one ear and out the other, honestly, because I don't even know what I'm dealing with. You know, at that time, I'm just like, I don't even know if it exists. You know, so, and my curiosity was so much that that when he said that, it just went in one ear and out the other. And so, so we get ready to go. And this was September, I think it was around September 2nd, 2023 is when we first went out on Saturday or something like that. September 2nd, September 3rd, something like that. And so we walk out of his house, go to his truck, and we get in his truck. And without notice, without telling me, without warning me, he begins to pray out loud, like for our safety. And that kind of set me back because, you know, I'm a person of faith. I believe in the Bible and all that kind of stuff. So when he did that, it kind of made me pause for a minute. You know, him saying that they'll kill me and eat me didn't make me pause. But for some reason, this did, because that's how I grew up and all that. So I was like, maybe this guy might be telling me the truth about these things actually existing. So he did. He prayed, and then we headed off to this property. And I live in Murfreesboro, and it's outside of Nashville, but I'm not going to say exactly where it's at. I was asked, actually, when we got there to the property, asked by the owner of the property, and said, you know, you don't come out here without Billy. And I was like, okay. And then Billy also stressed, you know, don't let anybody know about this property, which I get it to some extent. I get it. I do. But I wish that it was different. So, but we pull up in the property and in the driveway, and we get out of the truck, and the owner's standing there, and he says, well, they damaged my garage door. And I'm like, what? And his garage door is literally bent halfway up to the point to where you can't open it, you can't close it. And basically he's saying the creatures, the Bigfoot, damaged his garage door. And so I was like, okay, you know. But anyway, after that, we walk around, and walking around the property, I see big footprints. You know, I'm near the house. I'm near the garage. I see these footprints, and I'm taking pictures, you know. So and Billy's like moving his way like down into where he wants to go, and he's like, come on, ignore the petty stuff, you know. That's kind of what I was thinking in my mind that he was thinking. He's like, come on, ignore the little petty footprint stuff. But so we this area, I'm not going to give out a full location of where it's at. But to kind of give you an idea, it's a swampy area. It's a property owned by somebody that it's kind of in a swampy area. So Billy proceeds to take me down into the swamp. It's literally probably 40 yards, if that, from the house. It's like a house to drop off a swamp. And so we go down in there, and he's showing me some big trees. I mean, they're 6 inches, 7 inches in diameter, and they're broken off and twisted and just pointed downwards into the ground. And I'm just like, okay, that's interesting. I don't really know. I mean, you learn a lot when you listen to 10 months of podcasts, every day. You do learn some things. So you learn about some of the tree things that they'll do and stuff like that. So when he was showing me these things, I was interested, and I was like, yeah, I could see it, I guess. And he's showing me some other things. And so after we come out of the swamp a little bit, there's a little hill. And he said, let's just sit here. I said, okay. In my mind, I'm thinking, no, let's walk into the woods, let's go further into the woods. Let's go check this out. And he's like, no, let's just sit here. I said, okay, we'll sit here. So we sat on this little rise, little hill. Well, there's a little hill in front of us that we can't see over that goes further into, I guess, the valley, kind of, where a bunch of hills go into a little valley. So we're sitting there, and about 5 or so minutes while we're sitting there, we hear footsteps coming our way. It's clearly, in my mind, like a person walking, but louder. It just seems heavier and louder as we were sitting there. And I have it on audio. I recorded it, and the woods did not get quiet. The cicadas were going off. Typically cicadas, sometimes they'll go off, they'll get quiet for a minute, and then they'll start back up again. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that. Nothing really got quiet. So this went on. I have the audio. It was 23 minutes long. And about 10 minutes into it, and there's still heavy footsteps coming our way. I was like, man, I looked at Billy and I said, Billy, this is like intentional. This has got to be intentional. It doesn't seem right. So I start looking around like behind me, and because I don't want to be caught off guard. I don't know what these things are. I don't even know if they exist, So I'm looking around to be cautious. And then I look down into the swampy area where the tall grasses are, and I see black hair going through the tall grasses in the swamp. And I couldn't see any form. I just know it was black hair that I saw. And it was walking towards where the footsteps were coming our way. And so I looked at Billy, and you can hear me on the audio, and I said, man, do I need to pull my firearm? Because I don't know if I need to protect myself or what. But he's like, no. And then after a while, since it went on for so long, I looked at him and I said, hey, you mind if I stand up? I want to look over this rise, and I want to see what's coming our way. He said, if she turns on you, you're dead. And I was like, okay, what do I do with that? So I didn't stand up. If he wasn't there with me, I would have stood up. I would want to know what's coming my way for 20 minutes. So I didn't stand up. Billy has personally seen, I think he told me it was either 4 or 5 Bigfoot in this area before. So and when we talked after this happened, once that I saw the black hair going through the grasses and make it over towards the area of the footsteps that were coming our way, everything went silent, like nothing, totally quiet until we ended up walking away because there was nothing going on. So basically, my thought and Billy's thought was that Mama was making her way intentionally towards us to distract us from seeing the baby get to her, from the little one get to her. That's what our thought process was. So that was the first time that Billy and I had went out. We stayed till about 9:30 that night, and probably it was late that was broad daylight when that happened. It was probably I don't know, 4:00, 4:30. So it was broad daylight when that happened. It's right by a highway, a loud highway, and everything, right by a house. So that later that night, we were sitting outside with some on the driveway. It's a big, huge driveway, and we got some chairs and we sat out there and we heard some whoops, a couple whoops at night. I honestly wish I'd have had my audio recorder on, been recording it, because it literally sounded like a whoop. It didn't sound almost like an owl, but it clearly had like a whoop. It like ended at the end. So it was different. So that was my first kind of.
Man, I want to go to this area.
I wish I could honestly take everybody to this area. I really do.
Do you think Billy would like allow me to come with y'all?
I think it's a possibility. I do think it's a possibility. Yeah, I had to talk to Billy. He's really cautious about the area. I know he wants to protect the area.
Absolutely.
And I get it. At the same time, I'm like, man, why can't we allow one person or two people at a time to get here and really look at this place and have the encounter, whatever, but
I want to go camp.
Investigate the area.
I want to camp.
Oh yeah. It
doesn't sound like that would be an option with him, as protective and guarded as he is. One thing that kind of surprises me, Matthew, and so y'all were each carrying a 45 and a 12 gauge?
Yeah.
Okay, this is in anybody that's a member of Manimal Research, my organization, y'all know exactly where I'm going with this. Yeah, I've made it a rule in my organization that you don't carry long guns with you if we're out looking for these things, because I truly, truly believe that they know what guns are.
Mm-hmm.
And if they know what a gun is, a long gun, shotgun, rifle, they're going to stay the hell away from it, like anything with any common sense. They're going to stay away from it. So if you're going out there looking for these things, having a long gun with you, you're defeating the purpose. But it sounds like if y'all had them and these things still came around, they just don't seem to be that worried about people.
Yeah. Well, the first time I went out there, we did not have. We left our 12 gauges in the truck. We had our 45s on us.
Yeah, and let me interrupt you real quick, Matthew. Again, this is coming from a guy that I will not go out on investigation without my 45 on my hip. That's where it stays. And I recommend that when you're going out, have a pistol with you. 45 is a big caliber, 45, 44, 357, something like that. That's got some stopping power. Not saying it's going to take one of these things down, but it'll buy you time. Yeah. So this is coming from a guy that always has my pistol on me. And I've had words with members of Manimal that got upset with me. Yeah, no, we're just not going to carry long guns. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've been told, when I got started at this and reached out to that Facebook group, I didn't know who Billy was. He was just a guy I reached out to, and he responded. What I didn't know was that he had gone out he's friends with Daryl, who founded the group. Bigfoot Believers and Other Creatures. I didn't know
Daryl Denton.
I didn't know that at the time. This was just some guy that reached out to me, and I asked him one time. I said, Billy, why did you respond to me asking if I can go in the woods? Somebody has any land. He said, because I felt like when you messaged, you were honest, and I felt like you just wanted to know the truth. And I was like, well, I do. I want to know what's going on, honestly. And Billy and Daryl have been to that site, which is a habituation site, many times together. And I didn't know that at the time, so I just thought it was some guy just showing me whatever, trying to show me the truth about these things.
I mean, it sounds like you hit the lottery on your first time out.
You know, I don't understand that. I understand why. I will say this, man. If there's something that I want to know an answer to or the truth about, this may seem weird to anything. If I honestly want to know, I pray about it. And I ask who I think created me, will you show me the truth about this? And I think I've done that one other time in my life. And it literally took, because I wanted to know the truth about something. And it literally took almost 2 decades I went through a lot of stuff to find out the truth about something that I wanted to know about. And that was the journey in itself. And so honestly, when I came upon this Sasquatch topic, which seems kind of silly almost, it just in a random podcast, I just wanted to know the truth, man. You know, and so I prayed about it. I was like, will you show me the truth? Really, God, will you show me the truth if these things exist?
I've done the exact same thing.
And I was almost hesitant to pray that, because I know when I asked about something earlier, it took me 20 years to find an answer. So I was like, maybe I shouldn't pray about this. I'll just go find out for myself. But anyway, I've been on this journey since about 2022, just trying to figure out, the truth about it.
Now, is that the only time you've been out on that property?
No, I went out a second time with Billy, and the second time we went, and I think a week before he had went with somebody else. There's another guy that he had went with, and he had put a trail camera out. And so he said, so when I went with him the next week, he said, let's go check on this trail camera. So we went out there. We actually took some apples and some cantaloupes. He said, let's throw these out in the field. We went to a different section of the property. We threw some apples out. We went and checked on see if the trail camera that was there, it was gone. I mean, I'm just going according to what he was telling me, where he put it. But one of the things that was interesting that I noticed, like, he just went right inside the wood line where he put the trail camera. The 3 times that I went out with Billy, he did not go or take me deep into where their space is, per se. So the trail camera was gone. We threw out some apples. We took an ATV, and we actually crossed somebody else's property to get to where we wanted to be. And we set up the ATV. We had this little netting that we put up, a camouflage kind of netting that we put up from like the wood line to the ATV, the 4-wheeler. We sat there at night, and it's dark. And I mean, I'm comfortable in the woods. At night's a little bit different. It's just a little bit different in the woods.
It's a whole different animal.
It is. So we're sitting there, and I look up at the sky, and I see Starlink going by. It's the first time I had seen it. So I was like, hey, Billy, look, Starlink is going across the sky. That's pretty cool. Billy looks at me. He's like, okay, whatever. Apparently he don't care. I just thought it was cool, Well, while I'm looking up at the sky, I almost hesitate to mention this because I don't know what it was. So I'm looking up at the sky, and I see 2 bright lights. And as Starlink passed, these 2 bright lights are moving across the sky. Now, when I think of an airplane, I think of blinking lights, of course. And these weren't blinking lights. They were just 2 bright lights moving, not fast, just moving across the sky. Probably not Starlink height. It was probably airplane height. I don't know. I'm not familiar with height. I'll guess. Let's say 20,000, 30,000 feet. I don't know. I just could see 2 bright lights, and it was moving across the sky. Well, they were bright. They dimmed down after, I don't know, a few seconds. And then they just totally went out. But I had a lot of stuff going on around me in the woods. Literally the woods kind of erupted that night in vocals that I'd never heard before. I mean, it didn't sound, to me, it sounded like a bunch of monkeys.
Right.
Like, it sounds like a bunch of monkeys out here. And So I really wasn't concerned about the lights in the sky. I was like, whatever, I don't care. I got stuff going on around me right here. I'm not too concerned about some stinking lights in the sky that I don't even know what they are.
Right.
So I just kind of let it go. But anyway, we're sitting there, and one of the funny things was that while we're out there, we're sitting there by the four-wheeler. I'm trying to record everything, but we're probably 150, 200, maybe 150 yards from in a field where the wood line starts and where we heard eruption. I tried to record that night, and you can vaguely hear it. It's kind of too far away. But we're sitting there and we hear some rustling by us in the woods. And I'm like, what is that? Because it just sounds like some rustling. Well, we're sitting there, we're sitting on the ground, and some possum just runs about 5 feet from us, from one edge of the wood line to the other. So we both got our 45s out, pointing toward the wood line. You know,
Now, real quick, is that the same possum that Daryl Denton saw change into a big?
It would be the same possum that came from the orb. Yeah, very possible. I don't know, but so that was quite funny. We got a kick out of that. After we were sitting there for a while, he, and then it kind of quietened down. He's like, "You ready to go up to the house?" I said, "Sure, let's go up to the house." We packed up the four-wheeler, and had to go down a little bit of the highway to get to the house, and got to the driveway. This place is just, the setup is really, really cool. There's a lot of coverage as far as vines go, as far as foliage in the summertime. There's a lot of coverage, and you can't see in it. Going through the driveway, you can't see. It's just vines and coverage. You can't see in it. And so as we're going really slow on the four-wheeler in the driveway, we're going really slow because Billy's mainly checking out. We're seeing different tree breaks. Some are pointed from the wood line into the driveway. They're broke off and pointed, not big trees. I'm talking about just little things, but it's different than last time we came. And they'll be pointed in towards the driveway. When we're going slow on the ATV into the driveway, I hear walking down in the woods. And in my mind, I pictured 3 people walking in the woods. That's what I pictured. And I was like, that's weird. So we continued to go to the end of the driveway. There's a pontoon boat there in the drive, an old pontoon boat, and there's some chairs on it. So we grab our chairs. We're taking it to the edge of the driveway where the swamp, where the drop off is, and it goes into the swamp. And we're setting our chairs up, and this is what we hear. Something says, "Mommy." And I looked at Billy and I go, "Billy, did you hear that?" He goes, "Yeah." And he said, "Yeah," in such a way I was like, "What do you mean, yeah?" I mean, I didn't say that, but what do you mean, yeah? This is not normal,
Hey, real quick, Matthew, say that again. What did it say?
It said, "Mommy." And it was exactly like that. It wasn't like a mommy in which, like, I'm trying to scare the crap out of you. It was a mommy in, like, I'm trying to mess with you.
Yeah, I don't care who the hell you are. That creeps you right the hell out.
It does.
If you hear something like that, oh my God, I'm leaving.
There's no kids in the woods at 10 at night there.
Mm-mm.
Well, and that's just like, when you have the babies crying in the middle of the night and it's pitch dark and there's not any newborn babies out there.
Yeah. It was weird, man. It made me feel awkward. I'll just put it that way. I wasn't totally creeped out because I continued on. We got our chairs. We sat at the edge of the swamp. We're talking. Billy's been doing this for about 5 years, 6 years in this area. He's basically used to it. Billy, to me, He's like, he in my mind, he fears nothing. Now, he don't trust these things. He don't, but he fears nothing. Me, on the other hand, I don't even know what I'm messing with. I'm trying to figure this all out. So we set our chairs up at the edge of the swamp and we're talking and this and that. And Billy's like almost falling asleep. I see him with his hat down and he's like got his eyes closed. I'm like, dude, you got to wake up, man. I'm like right here, wake up. I was like, are you falling asleep? He's like, no, I'm not falling asleep.
That's funny.
So we're sitting there and we start talking and we sit there for about 2 hours, probably about an hour into it. We start having pebbles thrown at us, meaning right by our chairs. And we can clearly see where they're coming from. We know they're coming from the swamp area. They're not coming from behind us. But literally we could hear walking for about an hour and a half. We heard walking all around us, down in the swamp, behind us, on the right, into the woods. You could hear walking. And that's very unsettling. I mean, at night, you don't know what you're dealing with. For me, it was very unsettling. And Billy looked at me when the rocks were thrown. He goes, well, we're having pebbles thrown at us. Like, I noticed that. Okay. And
I just love how they're just so nonchalant.
Yeah. I honestly couldn't grasp how he was okay with it. Like sitting in that and being comfortable with it and being okay with it.
If it had been his first time in that area, he wouldn't have been. That he's comfortable there.
Yeah, and Billy's built to live a little different than I am too. But it would be different his first time. Yeah, you're right. Well, it got a couple hours into it. I was like, man, I got to the point to where I was like, man, I'm ready to go. It was unsettling to the point I was like, I'm ready to go. And he's like, okay, we can go. So we both stood up out of our chairs. We were sitting in our chairs, which was probably, I don't know, 5 feet from the drop off. So we couldn't see down into the swamp while we were sitting down. But when I stood up and looked down into the swamp, there was a tree there. And I saw 5 sets of eye shine staring at me. And that freaked me out. They were big eyes.
5 sets.
They were about that far apart. And I looked at him and I called Billy's name, but I didn't say it loud. I just said Billy. Because honestly, man, it freaked me out. And so he didn't respond to me when I called his name. And so I was like, well, they're not attacking me. I was like, well, whatever is there is not attacking me. I want to close my eyes. I had time to think, let me close my eyes for a few seconds and then reopen them. I want my eyes to adjust. I want to make sure I'm seeing what I'm seeing. So I did. I closed my eyes for about 4 seconds and then reopened them. And sure enough, by this tree that was going down into the swamp, there was 5 sets of eye shine. I mean, some were like here and here, over here. There were different heights. I could not see body. I could not see silhouette. It was basically the lights from the house that were shining down onto us and into the swamp, but not bright enough to light up. It didn't look like anything abnormal to me. It really looked like eye shine. So I just walked after I said Billy's name. He didn't hear me. I closed my eyes and opened them. They were still there. No blinking at all, just wide open. And so we walked off to the ATV. Well, I left a little club down there where we were sitting. And I said, hey, Billy, will you take me down there? Because on the ATV, because I'm not walking down there by myself to get that thing. So he took me down there and, let me grab it real quick. And then we left.
Man, it sounds like sounds like he's sitting on a honey hole. It really does. I mean, if you don't mind, because I don't know Billy, I don't know who you're talking about. I might have spoken to him. I'm sure I've seen some of his stuff on on Facebook. I just don't know. But if you could talk to him and
Mhm.
see if maybe you could bring me and just me and you and him go out there,
Yeah.
I would love to have
Yeah.
that opportunity.
I will definitely talk to him. I've talked to him before. Um, Even the spot I go in now, I still talk to him, and he's told me that, hey, with what you've shown me with your pictures and your video and what you're telling me that you're seeing in your spot that you're going now, he said, I want to come out there. He's just been so busy with work. He actually hasn't gone back out to his site since we last went out there.
And how much property did you say that was?
Their property is probably, I don't know how much acreage they own, but the landowner, it's probably, in my estimate, because I don't know. But I've looked up the properties around it, via a hunting app and trying to figure out who owns the property, this and that. But I wouldn't say it's more than 7 acres, 5-7 acres, if that.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
So,
Okay. All right, let's you've got quite a few questions here. And I want to make sure that we get through those or get a chance to get those. So we'll go ahead and jump into them if you're ready.
Okay.
First one is from our good buddy, Mr. Scott Trent. Scott says, Matthew, do you think the only way to prove they exist is with a body? Excellent question.
Man, I don't know. I hate to say that, man.
I hate to say it, but
I hate to say it, and at the same time, I'm okay with saying it. If that makes sense?
Yeah, I get it.
Somebody do it, get it out the way, if it's even possible. So I don't think
that doesn't mean you have
it's necessary. I don't think it's necessary. Now, if we want to study it to prove it exists, I don't think it's necessary. If we want to study it and find out what it is,
yeah, you see, that's where I kind of disagree with you, Matthew, because we have everything else.
Yeah,
we have pictures are never going to do it.
No.
Audio is never going to do it.
No,
it's going to take a body, and that kind of lines in with Troy's question, which was, what I was going to say. You don't have to be the one to kill it.
Yeah.
To think that. I mean, let's get Troy's question. Do you believe that a body can be recovered? Now, say someone finds a body out in the woods. That might be the way to do it.
That kind of cracks me up because everything I've heard, as far as bodies being recovered, it doesn't tend to go our way, does it?
They disappear, generally.
Yeah, somehow they vanish.
That's what Brian and I over on that Bigfoot podcast have been talking a lot recently about a protocol, a call to action, or I forget what he called it, like chain of command, kind of some kind of protocol that we need if someone was to hit a Bigfoot with the car or shoot one or come across a dead body. What do we need to do to get it in the right hands?
Yeah, we actually did a live on YouTube, that Bigfoot podcast, talking about that.
We absolutely did. So I think if a body is recovered, we have to have a plan in place to get it to the right people.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no plan like that. I mean, if it ever happens, man, it'll just happen however it happens. Who knows?
The next one is also from Troy. It's more of a statement. He said the area that you're talking about isn't but 1 or 2 miles from a gun range. So they might be used to guns. I think that's the point Troy was making.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Billy, in one of his encounters, he would be an awesome guy to talk to and get on the show. I don't know why he doesn't go on shows.
I don't even know who he is. Set it up. I'll get him on.
When he was down in there one time, he thinks he accidentally got in between a mama and the baby. Well, a male was there and started coming his way. He had to get out quick. He raised his AR and with had a light on it And he said, once I raised my AR with the light on, he said that thing went from up to down. It like knew that he had a firearm, and he was able to back out.
Yeah, see, and yeah, you hear that so many times that if you come into the, with the intention and the good intentions and whatnot, but if they see you with a gun, they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you could talk to Billy, I would love to have him on.
Yeah, I'll give it a try.
All right, next one is from Miss Chris Blaylock. Did Billy have any evidence like audio or video?
Billy has pictures.
Okay.
He really has the pictures of the big female. Literally, when he went in there, he said, I'm going to figure out the truth about this. And he went in that area. He stayed there overnight by himself. And when the female walked towards him at night, he took a picture. And it was at night. It's with a flash, but it's a decent picture. And he
you've seen the picture?
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. All right. Next one is your good buddy Troy. What do you believe the being known as Bigfoot is?
Well, I'll tell you which direction I lean towards. I don't know what it is. Where I lean is towards some type of hybrid, whether it be animal, human. Yeah, I don't know. Angel, animal, human, a little bit mixture of three. I don't know.
That's a fair question. It's a very fair question. All right, my good buddy Mike Wolf. How many hours have you spent in the woods looking? Would you say?
Well, I guess with Billy, I'll say a total of I don't know, man. I go in the woods like in my spot. I go in the mornings before work. I may spend 15 minutes in there. Let's just say I've spent I don't know, 80 hours in the woods. Let's just say looking. Probably more than that, but
Okay. All right. Again, from Mike Wolf. Has your faith changed how you feel about the Bigfoot topic, or has Bigfoot changed your view on your faith? Great question.
It definitely does not change my view as far as my standing on my faith and what I believe biblically, because I believe in the Bible and I believe in its truth, and I believe it touches on this kind of stuff. So no, it doesn't. It only actually strengthens it, I guess. I just actually want to know the details about what this is. So,
all right, this next one it's just a comment from Troy. Wayne fell asleep quite a few times while we were out at the LBL. I'm comfortable out there, man. I always fall asleep sitting around the campfire. I just love it out there.
All that rain lulled you to sleep.
Yeah, and that time it was a damn rain. But even if it's not raining, I'm so comfortable out there, man. I can't help it. I just love outside. I love camping. Yeah, that's my safe place.
Yeah, it's cool.
All right, Mike Wolf. Just another comment here, and I agree with it 100%. We need a second session with Matthew, so we'd like to have you back, buddy.
Well, second session would be my third time out there. And let me tell you
I'm talking about a time you coming on the show. We need to have you back on the show.
I know, but if I were to share my third time going out with Billy, I'll just say this. I didn't last long in the woods. I walked out. I couldn't take it, man.
Damn. Well, we need to at least get you on for that.
Please.
All
right, last one. Oh, and he missed when you said how far apart the eyes were. Huh.
Oh, I would say 3 inches, 3.5. Okay. It varied because honestly, some of the eyes were bigger, some of the eyes were brighter, depending on where they were compared to where the floodlights were coming from the house. So it varied in brightness, it varied in width as well.
Okay. All right, man. Yeah, we're right here at an hour. That's perfect. You got anything that you want to plug? Any projects or anything that you want to share?
No, man. I'm just going out there in the woods. I don't know for how long. I have a spot that I go to. Interesting things happen. My cameras got shut off a few times, you know. So I have a spot where I go. I know has some activity. I definitely know it. I'd like to have some help. I'm trying to get Billy out there to help me. So we'll see. I don't know how long I'll do this, man. You know, because it takes its toll. It can be mind consuming. It can be, you know, it can just take its toll in different ways. You got to learn how to balance that. But so not really as far as plugging anything, man. I appreciate you, Tiffany. I appreciate you, Wayne, for giving me the time to and the platform to just go on and talk. It's been good, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I can honestly say this was a great episode. It really was. You were talked about some really cool stuff. It sounds like this location that you guys have is the real deal. So yeah, man, I appreciate you coming and hanging out.
Yeah.
It's always a good time. It's like hanging out on Discord, except we're live on YouTube.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. You enjoy the rest of your evening. And again, thank you very much for hanging out.
All right. Thanks, Wayne and Tiffany. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good one, buddy. All right.
That was a good one. All the good ones. They just zip on through, man.
I can't believe that was an hour. That was a really, as much as I have talked to Matthew, a lot of that was new to me.
Yeah.
And I don't get that because he and I have talked quite a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Really, really good stuff. Is that Mr. Hunter?
Yes, that's why I quickly muted.
All right. Well, we will go ahead and get out of here so Mr. Hunter can have the house to himself. You got anything before we get out of here?
I don't. Just come back and see us on Saturday. We have a wonderful guest coming on.
All right. As Tiffany said, we will be back to hang out with you guys on Saturday. Thank you for everything that you do. All of the support. Please share. Tell everybody about the show. Rate and review when you can. All of that good stuff. Until we see y'all again. Y'all take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Bye.